What's up, guys? My name's Doofus Mcdooface, and today I want to talk about opening roles. Right? That's when you choose a mastermind, and if it's not Yolo or if it's not chaos, right? A lot of the masterminds will allow you to pick your role from 10 units or so, right? And I want to focus on that today. I want us to go through in the sandbox a ton of roles, and I'm going to tell you what role I might select and how I might place those units during the first early waves. Now, I will say, take this with a grain of salt because once you're actually in the game, you might have to overbuild, right? You might get saved on, and you might have to build more, or you might have to build less if you're able to push workers, right? So this will just be a sort of a soft overview of opening roles. And I would recommend you guys do this too. I'm in the sandbox right now, and you can literally just hit Shift B, choose Mastermind, Greed, and just do this over and over again. Just go through tons of roles so that when the game starts, if you're playing Ranked or Classic, you have a much better grip, a much better feel for how to choose a role really quickly and feel really confident about how to play that role during the game. So, without further ado, let's just start going through tons of roles and how I might play it. So, first option here, I've got seedling. Could be a Sakura role, right? We do have Sakura and Willishroom. We do have Sakura and Pirate Skeleton. We even have Grarl. We could shift for like a Millennium on 7 or 8, right? You're probably wondering, why am I thinking about 7 and 8? Sakura is a magic damage unit that is horrible on wave 7 and 8. But in all honesty, I probably wouldn't want to do Sakura. It feels pretty weak right now. So I'm more likely to do like Flower Aqua, Flower Mask. There's so many options, right? And this is what's so tough is when you hit Mastermind, right? And you choose one and you see this and you need to be quick, right? We don't have 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes to go through a roll. So you got to be way faster. So if I was truly in a game, I think I would probably start Fire Elemental with this roll. I would take the Seedling because I don't need Mask, right? I don't need 2 Pierce damage AoE units, right? But I do want that tier 1 from the Seedling. I really like Pirate Skeleton. I like Wander too. It has the delay, has the fortified, right? And I'm trying to see if I'm missing anything here. I like Millennium. It actually works pretty well with the Rogue Wave, which is one of the Aqua Spirit things. Flower does too. Flower does too. But I'm not so sure I want Flower. Right? When you do too much AoE, you can put yourself in a scary spot. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm more likely to just go with Grarl. Because like I said, I really don't want to go all in on the AoE. And I would choose Keep Fighters. And I would start with a Fire Elemental. That is what I would start with. I'd have a Fire Elemental. And I'd probably get to about 5 workers by wave 3. Right? And on wave 3... I need more. On wave 3, depending on if I got sent on wave 2... right, a king up or a snail, or if the person sending me is super overbuilt, right? Because when I hit tab space, I'll be able to see if the person sending me is super pushed. How do I know that? Based on their value, right? If they're starting with a Priestess of the Abyss or a Berserker, units that are 190 gold, or a Sakura, right? A Sakura that's 250, a Pyro that's, 225, right? Or sorry, 220. If I know that, then maybe I can get greedy and go 6 workers, 7 workers even, because I know that they're not that pushed, right? There's no way that they can have enough gold to push that many workers. Now, the opposite might be they start an Oathbreaker, or a Trent, right? Or a Windhawk. You know, they could be Fiesta, right? They could be Fiesta in that circumstance, or they go Chloropixies, right? Then I really don't want to push, right? That would be a bad idea. But let's assume that they're a Priestess of the Abyss And I feel pretty confident going with 6 workers, not 7. So on wave 3, I add an aqua. Alright, wave 3, I add an aqua. And we should hold fairly easy. I create a split on wave 3 with my aqua. But I do not want it even. I don't want it even because I want this to tank on wave 5. Right? I want that to tank the boss on wave 5. So I'm always thinking further ahead if possible. So we've got that right there. Then wave 4, I would probably have a pirate skeleton somewhere around here. If we're scared, honestly, we might just push 2. Do something like that. And then this is when the game gets a little more complex because it's like, how much are you being saved on? Are they going for a hermit? Are they not? So we have plenty of options for what we might do on wave 5. If you're really scared about killing the boss, right? You could go for a chloropixie, right? So let's say I get sent to hermit, right? Stinks that we'll have to keep the pirate skeleton, who's pretty weak on 5. But in this circumstance, I probably don't have that much gold. So the reason I would go for a chloropixie right here is 2 reasons. Number 1, it's going to catch the breakdown. So this will tank the boss. This will tank a couple of units. This will tank the other half. And then as it breaks down, they go to this. And hopefully this single target will help bring down the boss so that the fire elemental uses its HP, but it doesn't die. So in a perfect world, my fire elemental will stay alive. This pixie will tank a little bit. Tanks a little bit. See, it's so close. It's going to be a really close one. But not bad. Not bad, right? Not bad at all. Whereas if, let's say, we had this lifted, right? If we had that right there, we might never kill the boss. So that is something to think about. Then on wave 6, definitely would need to add some value. You could overbuild and go for a scallywag. But something to think about is on wave 6, watch this. Because we didn't fix anything, this guy's going to tank 3 creeps. 3 Roccos. And, well, it's going to go bye-bye, right? Maybe we have just enough damage because of the pirate scallywag. But if that had been a brute, if that had been a DT, a snail, that might not have gone as easy. Right? And then another thing you're going to want to build at some point is going to be a rogue wave, right? I like getting the rogue waves earlier in the game so that you can re-roll out of the aquas, right? Because the faster we get rid of our AoE, the better. We want the rogue wave going forward in the game, right? I mean, you could keep the aquas, but I'm not a huge fan. We can adjust the split, right? By adjusting the split, it reduces the amount that this fire elemental takes damage. See how it only pulled a little bit? Because the later the game goes, that ranged DPS can't handle as much damage, right? Can't handle as much. So you're going to be a lot better off with slowly adjusting the split. Either A, lifting your right side split, right? Lifting this higher and higher. Or B, building units closer within the circle. Closer within the circle. From this point, wave 9, right, and 10 are our only weakness throughout the rest of this game. We do have Millennium, which is going to be good on both. The problem is, where do you place it? If we were really overbuilt, we could do a King Claw. That is another option. But King Claw is only good on 9. Not amazing on 10. We also have a ton of value. And naturally, we'd want to be pushing workers in this game. But if, let's say, we went for a Millennium, wouldn't be the end of the world on a wave 9. Especially if we get real sent. Because naturally, people will send, like, Mole Hermit on 9 into all the aquas. And yes, during this you should be pushing workers. But as I said, when we're looking at these opening rolls, really hard to sort of quantify how many workers you'd be pushing without actually being in a game. Just trying to give you guys sort of an overview of what I might do. Yeah, I have a ton of value here. Ton of value. Which makes it a lot easier to hold. And then on 10, I'm always holding. I've got 2 pirates, 2 scallywags. I've got that. I might even be able to hold a real nasty send here, to be honest. I think so. It's close. Maybe I don't hold. But pretty solid outcome. Pretty solid outcome. And then as wave 11 hits, I won't go too much further. I'm just sort of trying to help you guys with these opening rolls, how I might place these units. But if you want to be nasty, and maybe after you got that 10 cent or 9 cent, you decide not to push any workers, what you can then do is build a couple of Sakuras on wave 11, right? And just be overbuilt. The reason you would place Sakuras on wave 11 while being overbuilt, you don't want to leak. You don't want to leak anymore if you're going to do these Sakuras. You need to play like a chicken. They gain double stacks. They get double the stacks on wave 11 and onward, right? So if I hold here and I don't kill my Sakuras, they're going to generate 30 gold apiece. You'll see my value go up by 60. Yeah, that was a weird number. It should have been 60. But these Sakuras, unless I read the patch notes wrong, as well as I know, doing Sakuras on wave 11 is really good. I'm not going to focus on that. But that would be my first opening roll. All right. And then just do it again. Right? Let's just do it again.
Welcome to Nova.
Right. Clear off this board. All those units are gone. And now we look at another set of units. Right? And so when you're doing these opening rolls, just like I sort of showed you guys there, I'm trying to think about my weakest waves, right? And then having a perfect unit to fit into that weak wave spot, right? Like last game, wave 5, I was fairly weak with single target damage. So I'd have to use that Chloropixie to make sure I kill the boss, right? It's really my only option being that I was Aquas. Didn't have any other great option. And then wave 9, luckily I've got the counters with Millennium. Could be an overbuilt King Claw. Could have done a Samurai Soul. Wave 10, I feel pretty confident I'd do pretty good on wave 10 there. Once I had a Millennium, the Scallywags. It'd have to be a massive send like a GK to leak me. But let's get into this next roll. So right off the bat, we have a couple of options. And that's the beautiful thing is the more and more that you play the game, the more and more you do these rolls, it won't just be like, oh, the only unit I can play here is gun, right? That happens, right? When you first start playing, you'll only know how to play 1 or 2 things. Oh, Pyro. That's the only thing I know how to play. And that's okay, right? That's okay to just play the one thing you know how to play. There's nothing wrong with that. But the more and more you play the game, you might start to learn different things, right? I've got Archer and a Split, right? That could be really, really good. I've got Pyro, yeah. I've got Bones, right? I could do Bone Crushers. I could do Fire Archers. Both really good starts. I could do Gun. A lot of options with Gun. Some people might do Wander. Not a fan of that as a start, but it is really, really good on win probability. Some people like Pulse Spot as a starter. I'm also not a huge fan. Me personally, I would probably go with the Archers or the Bones. Pyro is good, but I don't feel like you get to push those workers as quickly. For me, I probably go with Elite Archer. A lot of people make fun of Elite Archer, but I don't like that. So I'd go with the Elite Archer. I have to take the only tier 1 they gave me. So it's going to be a Bone Warrior. Wave 6, I am fairly weak. So having an Infiltrator, maybe even an Orchid, could be super useful. Having a Wander, once again, Wander and Archer is amazing. That delayed split is going to help your Archer, the AoE unit, but also really good damage. So there's that. Honestly, with this role, I'd probably just take all the cheap units. Like, I know it's probably not recommended, but I really don't want Dancer. It's pierce damage just like my Elite Archer, which is like my main damage. Gun, once again, is just like Elite Archer. I would have just taken Gun. Butcher, there's nothing really to heal here. And Pull Spot could be okay, but I've already got Wanderer, and I kind of like the delay. So I like this role a bit better. I'll just go Elite Archer. Place that. This will always work, even against a Snail. Any tier 1 in the split will work with Elite Archer, except for Looter. And I want to say Polywog too. I think Looter and Polywog you can leak to a Snail, but with Bone you're usually pretty good. Just so we could watch this. It's beautiful. Right, and once again, the reason I have that Bone down, not even, is because I'm already thinking about wave 5. Right? I'm always thinking ahead. Then I would have pushed to 5 workers. Oh god, this is gonna get battle scars. Every unit I have is gonna get battle scars. There's no way to fix that with the thing. That is one strong Elite Archer. That's one strong Elite Archer. But so we won't do any waves. Going forward, I would continue pushing workers. I could do a Bone Crusher on wave 3. I just need to slow this down. That could be a Bone Crusher on wave 3. I normally try to get 6 workers, right? I normally try to actually be 6 workers on wave 3 with Elite Archer. But once again, depends what is being sent to you, right? What is being sent to you? What units do you have? Right? What units do you have? Right? Like, if I push that 6 worker and it leaves me with 79 gold, right? If I've got 79 gold, if I push that 6th worker, is it really worth me pushing to that 6th worker? Because now I can place 5 boners, right? 5 bone warriors? That doesn't make sense, right? But if I have more than 80 gold, right? Then I can place an infiltrator, right? And then it's pretty solid, right? Like, I might pro leak, but I'm probably okay. Something like that, I might get triple snailed. This stupid Elite Archer is gonna hold. It's good. Aren't these cool functions you can use? Yeah, so I might get 3 snailed, and I'm probably gonna do fairly well here. Alright. The Elite Archer tanks the left side. This hangs on to that right side. And like I said, that also could have been a Crusher. Yeah, we might pro leak, but I'm 6 workers, right? 6 workers pro leaking, no issue at all, right? No issue at all with these early leaks. There's that getting that thing again. Probably want to add a little bit more value here on wave 4. Yes, Elite Archer is amazing, but you could be in a little bit of danger. But more importantly, need to be focusing on wave 5, right? So naturally, wave 5, I've got a couple of options. Wave 5, I could go for like a Zeus right here to help the Elite Archer survive the Scorpion King. Could also do something I wouldn't always recommend, but I love doing it. I like having 2 Elite Archers on 5, right? With 2 Elite Archers on 5, it's a beautiful split. It really is, right? It really can be a beautiful split, just like the thing I had recently, right? Even if I get hermited, because that's what people love sending AoE on wave 5. Even if I get hermited, right? Maybe we have a bone back here, right? These 2 are going to be able to kill the boss, right? The boss is going to go left. This guy's going to tank it. He's going to live. And now this one should tank on the breakdown. I also just have so much damage, right? Didn't even have to tank there. had too much value. But that was awesome, right? That was a great hold right there. So really cool. And once again, right, this game is a lot of rinse and repeat. Last time we had the damage to hold on wave 6. So I want you guys to see what happens on wave 6 if I do not fix the split. If I don't have a lifted split, if I don't have an inside split, if I don't have anything strong, that elite archer is going bye-bye. Right? That elite archer is going bye-bye here. So yes, they had the damage to hold on wave 6. Or sorry, on wave 5. But it does not have the damage to hold here. Right? Almost can't clear with 2 elite archers half the wave. Now, I didn't receive Ascend, and my Bone Crusher had the stupid Battle Scars buff that it keeps getting. But wave 6 archers are pretty bad. So what I could have done there, right? What I could have done there, is probably.
I am not fat. I'm a little bony.
Probably I do 1 tile above your range. This will make 2 go left. This will make 2 go left. Should be able to live. And just in case, I might even add a little extra damage there. Right. And let's assume that they're sending quite big. So my plan here is to still allow my lead archer to tank 1 or 2 of those Roccos. A little bit of damage helping it. And allowing them to just blast down the left side. That is my plan. Right, 1 or 2, right? It's tanking, and it lives. Now they can attack this right side, and it's just perfect. Right, it's just perfect. And look at that. Look at the split. They're both splitting. I pro leak. Could have been better, could have been worse. But, hear me out. Imagine if I didn't add that Bone Warrior up top. I'm telling you right now, it's a lot worse. It is a lot worse without that Bone Warrior right there. Because you want your range damage to tank but not die, right? See here, we lost one. We're losing that. And now I leak 82%. Way worse. Way worse. So, gotta be careful there. It's important to be super, super careful on wave 6. Wave 6, wave 13, and if you get that far, wave 18 are waves to really, really look out for if you're doing the splits, right? When you're doing the splits even or close to even, or you have like a crazy gun up here and your unit's back there and it's perfect on every wave, you really need to look out for wave 6. Wave 6 interacts way differently than the rest of the game, as does wave 13. And it can really tilt you. So be careful. Going forward, this roll is pretty solid on 7 and 8, right? We've got these elite archers. Probably don't want to do a Trinity Archer. Probably don't want to do a Trinity Archer at this point. Because you've already invested a lot into the Pierce Arcane. Naturally, you're going to get sent on wave 9. And my wave 9 options are probably an Orchid, because of the magic damage, or an upgraded Wander into a Samurai Soul. Right? So, in a perfect world, I would have both of those already prepped for wave 9. It's a lot of value. But we might get a real nasty send, like Pack Leader Hermit, right? Pack Leader Hermit could shred us. Also, as the game gets deeper and deeper, right? My stuff can't tank as well. So, like I said, I'm going to start building into this row so that that elite archer hopefully doesn't die. Right? Because I would love for it to tank 1 or 2, right? But I don't want it to die. See, that's fine. That's perfectly acceptable. No problem there. Our Samurai's cooking. Our Orchid is cooking. Easy hold. Right? Easy hold. And then Trinity Archer on 10. Really, really nice build here. The main waves you'd want to look out for are wave 5, which is why we harped on, once again, killing that Scorpion King. Wave 6, if you don't fix the split. Wave 9, because you have a lot invested in the elite archers and the AoE. Wave 10, you should be fine with a Trinity Archer, with an Orchid. Like, you're chilling. And the deeper the game, if we continued, you know, we'd have cool things like Dark Mages. Right? You have Dark Mages. Wave 13s, you could start adding Zeuses. Great magic damage for 13. And remember, if you did get to wave 13, watch out for how the split goes. Right? Watch out for that. Let's just look at a wave 13 real quick. Right? Let's just look at it.
Through the heart.
Right? So our elite archer barely tanked on wave 9. Only tanked 1 creep. But tanking 1 creep on 13, that's a lot harder. Right?
Thanks for that.
It lives here, but just barely. Right? So we actually did fairly well here, right? Our split has already been pretty well prepped. We prepped for 6, we prepped for 9, which helps us out on 13. But that's also to no send, right? If they send imps or a lot of creeps, then that might increase the amount that my Trinity Archer tanks. Definitely be aware of that. But let's go into another role. And just for fun, let's take a look at a Yolo. Just for fun, let's take a look at a Yolo. Maybe you'd like to mix it up. Because it's not always perfect, right? The game's not always about perfect rolls. It's about working with tough rolls, right? So how would we play this? Well, it's actually not that hard. This was actually not the hardest Yolo. So with this, I would never start APS. Please don't do that. I would never start a bunch of looters. Disciple is okay, but you really can't leak. It really doesn't let you push. I think the only option here in this YOLO would be to start Slime Siren, right? That is the slime upgraded to a Slime Siren. I'd be able to push workers. Actually, I'd probably want that off the wall, to be fully honest. And then wave 3, we'd have something like that, right? This would be perfect. That's gonna tank. It's gonna heal our slime mama. She's gonna get the full stacks. She needs to hit 15 mana in order to spawn 3 slimes. If you don't reach 15 mana, 1 slime. It's massive. Like, this unit's value is like double or half, right? I mean, it's really bad, right? If you do not get full mana on a Slime Siren, you stink, right? It's really bad. But if you do get full mana, it's really good. So wave 3, this would be a really easy hold. But here's the problem, right? Here's the problem with this crazy YOLO. Is wave 4, okay? Wave 4 is going to be a problem. You'd probably want like a looter in the split, into a pack rat. But even so, it's going to be a hard wave 4. And that's the thing with YOLOs. That's the thing with bad rolls, is you need to think, I'm impact, I'm magic, right? My only cheap pierce unit for wave 4 costs 150 gold and it's an aura. That's not good. And I guess you could no push for Disciple, but now you're staying 5 or 4 workers, and you might fall behind. So the better play would just be to use our Swift tank. Yes, it is impact damage, but it's still the correct defensive typing, right? It's still the correct defensive typing for wave 4. So it might not be that bad. Right? It might not be that bad. Now, we probably would have wanted to adjusted our Sea Dragon to not die here. Game's going really fast. So we do leak pretty bad here. Our recommended value is probably way higher on wave 4 there. But this is one of those waves where maybe you needed to overbuild. Maybe we did need to have 2 pack rats, right? 345 value is actually fairly low for wave 4. But we also could revisit that, right? We could also revisit that and say, hey, why didn't we adjust our split, right? That Sea Dragon that was great, might have been great on wave 3, wasn't so great here. You know, maybe I needed to place a looter there so it didn't die. You know? And over time, you'll start to learn these things. Even I don't always know it, right? That is the downside of placing things so aggressively. But it will also help you going forward. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this is a really tough YOLO too. Like, the start is very easy, but it's gonna get harder. You would have had to have placed a lot of slime sirens. You have no tanks. I just realized this is a horrible YOLO to use for an example. But a lot of sea dragons. A lot of slime mamas. And if you can get to the later game, your build is decent, right? You've got the gates, you've got the sea dragons, the APS, the disciples, but the early game is going to be tough. So this is more for beginner stuff. Let's not talk about the world's hardest YOLO, right? Let's do one more greed, because that right there is breaking my mind. I'm trying to think how to play that YOLO, and really tough. All right. With this last row, we've got, once again, we've always got options, right? The more combos you learn to play, the better your Legion TD2 experience is going to be. We have Priestess of the Abyss. We have Crab Warlocks. We have Bone Warriors, right? Bone Warriors I really do like. Berserker. Nightmare can be good. I don't know if anybody's told you about the Nightmare. But naturally, I only play Nightmare with the Butcher. If the Nightmare does not have the Butcher, I won't play it. That's just me personally. I don't really enjoy playing the Nightmare without the Butcher. But let's take a look at Bones here. We haven't really worked on Bones, so we'll take the Bone Warrior. I do like the aura from the Antler. I actually have no arcane tank other than a Priestess of the Abyss. And I'm just not going to take an arcane tank. I've been doing that a lot lately where I don't take an arcane tank. I don't need both of these magic swifts. I think I'm going to go with an Infiltrator because it has magic and swift. This is Pierce and Swift. If I take a Berserker, there's my Pierce Swift. I do have 2 Swift tanks now, but that's fine. There's that Crab Warlock. And I guess we'll take big damage for late game. We are weak on 7 and 8. All right. We'll take the Pirate Skeleton, right? We'll take the Pirate Skeleton's a little bit better on 7 and 8 than an Infiltrator is. But this is just one of those downsides where we literally don't have any arcane tank outside of a ranged DPS. That's not a real arcane tank, and we just sort of have to deal with that on wave 7 and 8. So even with the units I took, we still literally could go anyway, right? We could go skeleton, skeleton. Me personally, I leak to a snail, so I don't like doing that. I get snailed a lot. We could go Crab Warlock. A lot of people have been talking about how spamming Crab Warlocks is annoying, hard to beat. You could be that guy. We could go Berserker, but I think I'm going to do the Bone Crusher for now. I like just the Bone Crusher. You hold wave 1, and then wave 2 you can do a couple of things. On wave 2, with Bone Crusher, you can greed and go 6 workers, right? I'm being serious. You can greed and go 5 or 6 workers. It's crazy. I know. It's scary. Or you can just play it safe. Right? You can just play it safe and go for like a Fire Archer.
Ready to fire.
I think half up is what you have to do now. I think you have to do half up now for this Fire Archer. Let's say you get snailed. Alright. This is going to tank a couple. He's going to tank the rest. The beautiful thing with the bones is their health regen. Right? That's why Fire Archer's tanking is just so nice. You'll see their health is going down slowly and then back up. Fire Archer kills his side. Bone Crusher's still working. Fire Archer's healing up, healing up, healing up. Makes for really, really cool stuff. And you can push super duper hard. Alright, you can push super duper hard and sometimes get away with crazy wave 3s. Alright, once again, tanks a couple. The Crusher has been tanking too much on wave 3. So you probably on wave 3 might want to add some bones over here. Not a bad idea. if you had a cat, you know. But for this roll, we only have bones, right? So let's not talk about things we don't have. I might add a couple of bones on 3. And then wave 4. Wave 4 is where things get murky, right? Because what you really don't want to do is have 2 fire archers. Right? Having 2 fire archers, you're going to do really good on wave 4, but now you're relatively weak on wave 5, and you're extremely weak on wave 6. And on 7, fire archers aren't even that great either, right? Even though they're pierce, they're still not that great on 7. So, with this roll, I might be better off doing like a pirate skeleton, overbuilding with a crab warlock. If I do the crab warlock, though, I just want to let you know, I'm going to build it closer to the middle even, right? So that fire archer is there. I'm going to build it closer to the middle even so that the fire archer doesn't tank too many. And that on wave 5, right? On wave 5, the boss is going to go left, right? So this fire archer is going to tank. This wave 5 is actually really cool. This fire archer will tank 1 to 3 on wave 5, but the boss will go left. Or it can tank nothing, and I'm just stupid. It can also just tank nothing, and I'm just stupid, right? Let's see with the bone ring. Right, I'm just making crap up at this point. But in a perfect world, it would tank something. Just didn't happen for us there. I guess we needed it a little higher. But once again, the sick part about that is that if you have it literally half a tile, you might pull the boss right and then leak. So, do have to be really careful. Right. This is probably a better split here. It's not tanking, but now all my units are tanking beautifully. A lot better split, but still risky. Still risky. So be careful there. And the thing with bones, I'm gonna warn you. Try not to place as many bone warriors as I do. I'm known to place way too many tier 1s. But we're just trying to go through these rolls here. And wave 6, if you had a berserker, you would be fine. That's a bit of overbuilding, but it would guarantee a hold. An antler also would hold. Could do 2 crabs. 2 crabs also pretty good. Not too bad on 7 and 8. Once again, game sense matters. Did you get ascend on wave 5? Did you get ascend on wave 4? Are you scared of wave 6? Are you okay with pro leaking on wave 6? Maybe you just want to push as many workers as possible, right? We could also build like a pirate skeleton in the preparation for a scallywag on wave 7 or 8. So you have many options to go about with this roll. Maybe too many options, right? Maybe too many options. So then wave 7 and 8, we've got pirate skeletons into scallywags. On wave 8, not 7, on wave 8, if you had the gold, a crabomancer on wave 8 is actually, oop, I didn't type that right. Crabomancer on wave 8 is like actually awesome. It's an awesome unit if you have enough tank value. Like it does decent damage. Yes, it's magic damage. Look at that fire tanking perfectly here. Does decent damage, but it's the spawns. The spawns are just so powerful. These spawns just live forever on wave 8. If you have enough tank value, maybe you have steeds, right? It will just live forever. And as you guys have harped about the crabs, they'll just keep coming and coming and coming, right? Wave 9 could go for a crawling catapult, really good. But in a perfect world, I would hope to just push workers and add another crab, right? You could also build for wave 10, right? Wave 10, you're really weak. With all these units, I'm super weak on wave 10. So I'd probably be better off building a catapult in preparation for wave 10. It's going to be good on wave 9 and 10. Or going for a Zerker, aiming for a Fatalizer. A lot of people will do that when they're AoE or a really weak wave 10 board. That is the boss wave. And you build a Zerker, and then you save like a little bit of gold, right? Save like 90 gold left over. You just full shift, right? And then that wave 10 hits, and as long as you have estimated 355 for the upgrade, you have a full Fatalizer on wave 10 with almost no chance of leaking, even though all your other units are really weak, right? So, got a little carried away with this roll. This one was a lot harder to do. But once again, I would recommend watching me is great, but I would say try this yourself. I would say go in the sandbox and just sit here and do some rolls. Look at some rolls. I just like greed, right? You could test whatever mastermind you like playing, right? You could go with Cash Out or Fiesta, right? Whatever mastermind you like playing. Maybe you're a champion player, right? And you could look at the units that you would champion, which would be the best, and just continually do these rolls in the sandbox before you're ready to play ranked or classic or the campaign mode. And also, this is going to be super useful too. I believe that's always turned on. I believe this is always turned on. If it's not, please ask me in the comments. I'll be able to drop where that interface thing is. But super useful. Tell you which waves you're weak on, which you're not. But most of Legion is pre-planning, right? Most of Legion is pre-planning. So although you might have a great unit for the start, oh, I've got this Yozora, I play it every time, but then I seem to leak on wave 5 every other game, right? Because Yozora is quite weak on wave 5. So maybe we need to look at what units are strong on wave 5 and pair that with our Yozora, right? Aim to have that. Let's say you play lock in Yozora every game, right? A lot of people have been asking me which unit is good to lock in.
Welcome,
right?
To Nova.
Here are my units. What is really going to save me on wave 5? Well, a Pilgrim is amazing on wave 5. A Priestess of the Abyss, also amazing on wave 5, right? So that means that when wave 4 comes, I need to make sure I have enough gold to place a Pilgrim on wave 5 or a Priestess of the Abyss on wave 5, because that's the wave that I've been leaking as Yozora, right? Same thing with other lock-ins, right? I've also been telling people to play lock-in Pyro, right?
Welcome.
Lock-in Pyro.
To Nova.
Naturally, weak on wave 4. So, what do we have for wave 4? We have an Elite Archer. So I need to once again make sure that I have enough gold to place an Elite Archer on wave 4 to save my butt, right? So it's really just playing the game a lot and learning your weak waves, right? Learning your weak waves, and pre-planning. And the more you do these rolls, the better you'll get about it. The more you place units, you'll learn how important killing the boss on wave 5 is, you know? Or how important not killing your damage on wave 6 can be, right? Like if wave 6 comes around and you kill your Elite Archer, that was perfect all the other waves. You might be missing out on some extra damage, some extra tank value. Super important. But I think that's it for today's video. I just wanted to do a little opening roll guide, just going through some rolls, and it turned into a 44-minute video. But I do hope that there's some good information here, good stuff to do in the sandbox. And yeah, if you guys have any other questions, please let me know. I will continue to trying and making more videos. Maybe next time we can actually do an in-game against some bots, where I'll do an opening roll, then we'll play the bots. I can pause and really break down everything I might do, why I'm placing this here, and we'll actually get to see with the economy part of the game as well as the AI sending us, which could be cool. So if you guys enjoyed this video or is useful, please like, please comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.